Hello and welcome back to another episode of Beyond NSU. I'm your host, Chloe Ryan, and today I have the honor to be here with Mr. Christoph Jenkins.
Hey.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm great. Mr. Christoph Jenkins is the CEO and founder of The Poet Life
Correct.
and Poet Life Academy.
Correct.
And you're a 2006 graduate of NSU.
Indeed, I am.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Indeed, I'm excited to be back.
And we had talked before this. You've come to homecomings.
Correct.
You haven't been inside the buildings.
No.
So what is it like being inside, being back?
You know, it's amazing, to be honest with you. You know, every time I come back, I see a new building. But I hadn't had the chance to go into the buildings and see what's really going on the inside, and to see what you all have going on in these different departments is just amazing. Really is. Yeah. Because it wasn't here before. What is that?
You started
15 years ago?
You started in 2001.
2001.
I was born in 2001. Do you feel old?
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's start off that way. No, but it's good. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. No, 2001 is where I came in from the DMV.
Okay.
And 3.5, 4 hours away, but definitely had an awesome time here.
Okay. Being from the DMV, why did you choose NSU?
Okay, good question. My brother was here.
Okay.
My brother was here. My aunt and uncle graduated in the 80s, I think. I hope I said that right. They're gonna get mad at me if it's 90s or something like that. I don't know, but I guess you can say I'm legacy. I guess.
Yeah. Runs in the family.
Heard the stories. I've been to the homecomings before then, and oddly enough, my aunt and uncle, while they were here, allowed us to stay with them when we were like in single digits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in their apartment, and like really get an experience at a young age.
Okay. And what did you study while here?
So my degree was in computer information technology.
Okay. And why did you choose that?
Well, it's kind of like that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And usually we ask, which industry has the most money. And, I didn't really know a whole lot about computers, but I was good at, troubleshooting, utilizing the computer at my house. And my mom was like, I think that might be a good route to take. And from there, man, it took me far. I was a business analyst after I graduated Norfolk State, and so because of the tutelage and the knowledge that I received here, it's done me well.
Oh, wow.
Indeed.
And did you grew a love for that?
Yes, technology, as you know, is super important, especially now. It's rapidly growing, and I wanted to make sure that I was in an industry where, that didn't kind of die off when it comes to robots and things of that nature, right? So as a business analyst, I had the flexibility to travel because I could work remotely even before COVID, and so that was a very intentional move for me because I knew soon I would have children after I was married, and I wanted to make sure that I was available for cheerleading or basketball and not have a job to where I was stuck in a cubicle somewhere.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So what organizations were you involved in during your time here?
So from 2001 to 2006, I was actually Mr. Technology in 2006, my senior year.
Oh, wow. Mr. Technology. We don't have that anymore. That's one thing
happened?
that...
Was that the last year? Did I do
I
something?
I'm pretty sure we do not have a Mr. Technology.
Really? Yeah, no,
I haven't heard of that during my time here.
It was, I was asked by Dr. Suleiman, who is also still here. I tried to go see him a minute ago, but he was in a meeting. But I was asked to be Mr. Technology, and I was on the float, with the hand like this, and
with the sash,
across
Mr.
the chest, and it was
Technology.
super cold out there, and you couldn't wear a coat, and but it it was a awesome time, and I really appreciated the opportunity. But I was in SGA,
Okay.
so I was very active.
What was your role?
What was my role? I was more so. I didn't really have a title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have a
That's
title.
what I've noticed when
Yeah.
I've interviewed alum from the early 2000s. When they
Right.
say they participated in SGA,
Right.
they're like, I'm
It's
like,
like you're
what'd you do? They're just like, oh, I
You
was
were
just
just
part of
serving.
SGA.
Yeah, I
Just
was. I was
serving.
serving.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the cabinet, if you will.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to, be active
Yeah.
and offer myself.
As you should.
Indeed. Yeah.
What else did you do?
So I pledged the best fraternity in the world, the first Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated,
Okay.
and in follow 3.
Oh, wow.
Indeed. And so a little history with that. When I pledged, I wrote a poem when I was joining. And I wrote the poem because we have 7 founders. We call them the 7 jewels. And so I was in the position of the 7. So I was the jewel of the line. And so that's very prestigious in our fraternity to have that number. And so I wrote a poem called Seventh Heaven. And so my dean, the person that brought me through, also asked me to recite that poem at my probate,
Wow.
along with the other poems that we had to recite at the probate. And so I was like, oh, okay, I didn't really mean for that to happen, but
Yeah.
but I'm excited that it did, because that means every year after follow 3, anybody in the 7 position also recited that poem
Your poem.
ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now you're a part of history.
Correct. And
That
so
way. That's
what
so
is
dope.
that? 18 years of, and not just at Norfolk State, it expanded and went to Hampton and other schools around the country.
Oh, wow.
Indeed.
That is super dope.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, no, I think that's about it, if I'm not mistaken. No, I wrote for the Spartan Echo.
Oh, wow. Look at
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I'm the editor-in-chief.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Now, yeah, I was, I think, a sports writer, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
We need some more sports writers now.
Well, if you're out there. No, I had a great time. I wrote in high school for my high school newspaper called the Blueprint, Springbrook Blueprint.
Okay.
And I said, let's keep it going.
Oh, wow. So how did you find a balance with being Mr. Technology,
Yeah.
studying your major
Sure.
as is social life, Spartan Echo, SGA,
Yeah.
frat life? How did you find a balance in all of that? And writing poetry as well.
Sure. I don't know if I did. I don't know if I found a balance. It's like, especially in college, it's like you do what you can when you can, and learn how to prioritize. That wasn't a skill that I, mastered yet. And, it's like you want to give 100% for all of those, but you can't be 100% for all of those. And so it's like as it relates to timing, you prioritize what needs to be done today, tomorrow, the next week. And so I just kind of went from day to day, week to week, and made sure that I was there where I needed to be.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk post-graduation. It's 2006.
Okay.
You just graduated. What was next?
Okay. So that was interesting because I moved back home, and, college life, especially senior year, junior year, I had my own place.
Okay.
I had my own place, my own apartment. Now, when I went home, I didn't.
Yeah.
So
Independence, reality.
Hey. So in that, I said, I think after about 6 months to a year of being home and not seeing people on a regular basis like you do on campus,
Yeah.
I said, I need to get out of here. And so I actually moved to Seoul, South Korea for a year.
What a bold move. What made
Yes.
you move to Seoul, South Korea?
Well, I wanted to travel, but I didn't want to pay for it. And so I wanted to travel, not pay for it, but also get paid for it.
Okay, so
And I was like, is that possible?
how
And
did
so I
that
just
sound?
did research. I did research, and It just so happened I had a friend who was actually packing to move to Korea. And so I said, well, wait, tell me about that. And so she gave me some details, basically teaching English in Seoul, South Korea. Right.
Mm.
So I was like, but I don't know Korean. How do you teach English to Koreans who,
Right.
right? And you don't speak Korean. I was teaching 3 and 4 year olds, and sometimes older, but you have a co-teacher who is also Korean,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
The first 3 months, the students are allowed to speak their native tongue, but after that, you have to speak all. So it was an English immersion school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had to make sure that I utilize the arts to help them learn English, like poetry
Yeah.
and music, and through repetition. And even when I went to the restroom to take a child to the restroom, I was able to point to, like, that's a sink, right? And
Mm-hmm.
over time, through memory and doing this on a daily basis, they were speaking English in 4 to 5 months.
That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And you only did this for a year?
For 1 year. I wanted to go back.
Wow.
I wanted to go back, but I met my then girlfriend, my now wife,
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook 3 months before I came back home. And so, we're married now. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I can't go back, because if I go back, it might not work. So
Yeah. Wow. What an experience.
it was an amazing
Especially
experience.
with like younger children too, being able to like form those bonds with them
Most
and
definitely. Yeah.
because you impacted their lives. You taught them English.
Yeah. And I
That's so
stayed in
cool.
contact with them for several years as they got older. It was interesting because some of the students uh, at that age, they didn't have, I guess, Western names.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to actually, I got the opportunity to name some of the students.
You named
It
these
was,
children?
yeah,
That is
yeah.
so sweet.
So to know that one of the girls is one of the young girl students is my mother's name, and
Oh,
Val. And so she was like, my mom was just like, wow, that's pretty awesome.
it
And
is.
then some of the students I still talk to via email, along with their parents,
Mm-hmm.
being present. And so it's just, I mean, that was 2007 and 2008,
Oh
right? So
wow.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So you came back in 2008.
Hmm.
What did you do then?
So, as we know, 2008 was in the middle of the recession. And they were telling me about it, that couldn't find a job, this and that, and it was real. I couldn't find a job at McDonald's. It was
Wow.
it was tough because you're traveling the world, and then you come home and then you just kind of feel stuck. And
Yeah.
yeah, when I was dating my then girlfriend, now wife, I had no car, and she was picking me up for dates and things of that nature. And
Oh.
like, to know that she saw something in me, to know that I wasn't like a broke dude with no ambition,
Yeah.
right, was just an amazing something amazing to see in a woman. And so, and we've been married for 10 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Indeed, I appreciate it. So, how time happens, and I just can't believe that now. I also have 3 daughters,
Mhm.
4, 6, and 7. So a lot of things have happened since I've graduated Norfolk State, and so
Mhm.
it's amazing.
So let's dabble into
Hmm.
you being, was it a business analyst?
Correct.
All right. So how did you get that job? And you were a business analyst for.
13 years. 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was a business analyst for 13 years. And I had the opportunity to figure out what lane in IT I wanted to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Being here at Norfolk State, they taught you electronics. computer science, they gave you the gamut, so you can actually choose what lane that you wanted to go in, because IT is so vast, right?
Yeah.
Software. And because of the knowledge that I had, I was able to interview well. And I don't know, I think I kind of like fell into being a business analyst because, again, I wanted to be very intentional about my future. Even not having children then, I wanted to make sure that I was very present in the future of my kid's life, as far as whether they're playing sports. I didn't want a job that was so stringent to where I couldn't, get off
Yeah.
to be at their basketball games or, recitals. And so as a business analyst, we had the flexibility because we could work from home or anywhere because
Yeah.
all we needed was a laptop.
Okay.
And I
So,
just kind of foresaw that,
all right. So
before going in.
from what year to, you said 13 years. So when did you start?
I think what is this? This was 2009 maybe. So like a year after, the when I got back home,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got my footing, and
Mm-hmm.
from there I was working as a business analyst until earlier this year, January 7th, where I went full time for
Wow.
for
So
entrepreneurship.
you're still
Yeah,
doing being a business analyst while
running a
doing
business.
Poet Life.
Indeed.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So difficult, very
Yeah.
difficult, slow process, but in that slow process, that gradual process, you learn a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you got to take your time, and I had the opportunity to, make mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and not have enough time. Learn how to balance, like the question you asked earlier,
Yeah.
that I didn't know how to do in college, but I now do because I'm somewhat forced to. If you want to be a very present husband, very present father,
Mm-hmm.
active in the church, and all the things, right?
Yeah.
Life. So I wanted to make sure that I had that flexibility and that time freedom
Mm-hmm.
to be able to build something like a business that I could, create a legacy with.
So would you say that you used your skills as a business analyst
Mm.
to creating Poet Life? Or was it like working like in two different worlds?
I would have to say it's like working in two different worlds.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So you have the creative side and then you have the super corporate side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing pitching on or in person, and then COVID came, so it was on Zoom or Teams, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And but you're also having conference calls with clients with your business,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's the best part about having a job that's flexible.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity. I don't know if my then employers are watching this, but I was doing the business while I was working.
Oh
I didn't
wow.
have to wait till 6 p.m. to work
Yeah.
from 6 p.m. to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
I literally was doing both during the day.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
just about to ask you the balance question. How
sure.
did you
Mm,
juggle doing two different jobs at
sure.
the same time,
Yeah.
doing corporate and creative at the same time? Did your mind ever get flustered on top of being a husband and a
No, all the time.
father? Like,
hmm All the time. But what are you going to do?
you just
You
got
know,
to do it. Push through.
it's get it done.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you want also your children to see you pursuing your passion and your purpose.
Mhm.
Because if you sacrifice it all for your wife or for your kids, what do they see?
Right.
Like, or how do they see how to create the life that they want to live
Mhm.
if they're not watching me?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when you launched
Okay.
Poet Life in 2015.
Sure.
When did you know, like, I'm gonna do this? When did you make the decision to
So
launch
there's
the
a
business?
story behind it. In 2012, I started a nonprofit called Fighting Cancer with Poetry.
Okay.
Okay. A friend of mine We grew up in the same church in D.C. His name was Justin Islar. He was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, cancer, his freshman year at Coppin State, and I can't remember what year that was. 2005. 2005.
Oh, wow.
And he fought long and hard for 7 years, and succumbed, in 2012, January 2nd. So 1212, January 2nd, 2012. And come to find out, he started writing poetry after he was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, wow.
Like the entire time I knew him, I knew he was a great poet, but I didn't know the origin, right, when he started, because he was so good. I thought he'd been writing for forever.
Yeah.
But his mother told me, no, he started writing after he was diagnosed with cancer. And so that just showed me and told me that he found poetry to help him cope, help him heal, help him inspire others, right? And so that just showed me after his passing that if poetry could do that for him, that could do that for others. So I started that nonprofit, Fighting Cancer with Poetry, and I ran that nonprofit from 2012 to 2015 for 3 to 4 years. And I saw that, a nonprofit is a non-profit. And I was trying to, okay, I'm putting all of this time and this effort, and really, I didn't know how to run a nonprofit to where I could, create a salary for myself. I did it out of passion, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what, I need to start a for-profit along with this so I have some money coming in. But I didn't want to just start something random.
Yeah.
Just start selling cookies, and it just didn't make sense with the brand, And so then came the Poet Life, right? And it started off as a clothing line, as you can see, the shirt,
nice.
right? I wanted to make sure that poets had had representation on the stage and off the stage, And so when I go out and I wear Poet Life, people ask me, so you're a poet? I'm like, yeah. And I'll ask, how did you know? I forget that I'm wearing my
Poet
own.
Life.
Yeah. And so when poets wear it, it's like they're a walking billboard, And so they don't even have to open their mouth for people to know that they're poets, right? Because how do you tell someone is a poet? So that's how that came about, and it just started to evolve into more than just a clothing line.
Yeah. I love the origin story.
Thank you.
So, what advice would you give to an up-and-coming poet who's kind of scared to share their work?
Sure.
Who feels like unsure and not confident about their work, when in reality, their work is their work, so
Indeed.
they should be able to share it regardless. But what advice would you give to them?
Be self-aware. Know whether or not you want to share your art. But if you don't want to share it, make sure you're not sharing it out of fear, right? If it's out of fear, then you need to work on some confidence in that area, right? Don't not share it because you're afraid. Not share it because this is for me, not for, the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just be self-aware in that and be honest with yourself. But also there's two elements to poetry. There's the poetry community and there's the poetry industry. Right. And the reason why people say there's no money in poetry is because we've been focusing on the community, and there's no money in a community.
Yeah.
There's money in industries. Right. And so we've been trying to get paid big money at open mics and things where, the cover charge is $5. You know what I mean? So, but these companies, when I explain that poetry is a creative, attractive way to present a message, who needs that? Everyone.
Yeah.
Organizations, churches, companies, and they will pay someone like a poet to help them get their message out there.
Okay. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. So I want to hear about your personal poetry journey. When did you first start writing poetry?
Okay. I started writing poetry in the first grade. And so the teacher gave me an assignment to create a poetry book, not just write one, but the binding, write the poetry and everything. And from there, I knew this was the lane I was supposed to be in.
Okay. If you can, on the top of your head,
Mm-hmm.
how many poems have you written?
Well, a lot.
Oh.
I can't say for sure because I have an affinity for haiku, and those are short Japanese poems, and would love to share one if I could.
Yes,
Is that
yes,
cool?
please. Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is real short. Obviously, it's a haiku. What is a haiku? It's 3 lines. It's 5 syllables. First line, 7 syllables. Second line, 5 syllables. Third line. And here we go. Know your value now, or someone will tell you your value tomorrow. 17 syllables, all in all.
Okay.
Indeed. They're like poetic quotes.
Yeah. And what is your process for writing your poetry?
Living, I'll be honest with you. It's sometimes I gotta start writing, and then if I need some more creative juices, I'll just put the pen down and start living some more. And then I get back to that poem. I'm not one to write a full poem in one sitting.
I can't do that either. Typically, I write my poems based off of emotion. If I'm feeling really strongly about something, I just start writing.
Gotcha. Beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the Poet Life Conference.
The Poet Life Fest. It's a festival. Yes.
Fest. Sorry,
No,
not
you're
conference. Festival.
Soon
Let's talk about
I'll
the
have
fest.
I'll have a conference soon.
Okay. So it first started off in 2021 during the pandemic in DC.
In DC.
Second one was in Atlanta, and the next one.
We'll be in DC in 2023.
All right. And what does this fest typically consist of?
I galvanize poets from around the country and sometimes around the world to come into one place where we had about 2,000 people come to have a lot of fun, to perform poetry, but also to educate other poets about what we just talked about. But it's a lot of music, it's a lot of fun, a lot of games. It's for the entire community. It's
go.
It's an amazing time, you know. We have a bouncy house for adults, a bouncy house for kids, you know, musical chairs, all of the above.
Fun.
It's just an overall awesome time.
And how many people, what is the largest amount of people that have attended?
2,000 the first year. When we went to Atlanta, we did it indoors because I couldn't guarantee the weather, right? But and it was COVID. Around that time. And so that was about almost 1,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. And what's next for Poet Life?
So we also have Poet Life University, where I'm actually connecting with other educating poets to teach poets how to create a career with their art. And that is in the works right now. If anyone is interested in learning, they can go to poetlifeuniversity.com. And I also have an online course called the Wealthy Poets Blueprint at wealthypoetsblueprint.com. And it's an online evergreen self-paced course where they can literally from scratch, if they've never written a poem before and they want to, and they also want to create a career with their poetry, they can learn how to do that, and I guide them through that process.
I certainly want to lock into that.
Let's talk about it.
And I'm going to check out Poet Life University
Let's talk
as
about
well.
it. Indeed. Let's talk
Yes.
about it. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we have run out of time. I really would like you to come back so we could talk more
Will
about
do.
your festival, more
Most
about your
definitely.
poetry, because it seems like 30 minutes is too short. But I want to thank you for joining us, Christoph.
Thank
And I
you.
want to thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm Chloe Ryan.